Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This is a live show 1239. If you are not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally I will take a first look at a game. Maybe I'll unbox a board game or page through a role-playing game release, which is actually what we'll be doing tonight. Every once in a while, I might just tackle a topic related to our hobby, and every blue moon, I just provide the news and then chew the fat with chat. But tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a first look at the upcoming Warhammer Warhammer 40k Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. Yes, that title just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Not at all. But we are going to be diving on in just a bit. If you are tuning in for the first look, do you want to point out we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we dive on into that first look and page through. So if you're watching live, just kick back, put your feet up, relax. We'll get to it. We'll get to the first look. Now, if you happen to be watching this after the stream has ended, as long as it's about 30 minutes or more after the stream has wrapped up, there will be timestamps. You'll find them in the show notes. If you want to jump past the news of the day, you certainly can. And depending on the device you might be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube, such as Sammy's review of Pathfinder Game Night, Dawn of the Frogs, which will be going live tomorrow. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel and hanging around over at thegaminggang.com, I don't know what you're going to do with your lives. Kind of empty after that. No, I'm just joshing. I should also mention, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, of course, you must be a subscriber to the channel to take part in chat. You have to be a subscriber for at least 60 minutes before you can take part. So, of course, if you're a subscriber and have been for at least an hour and you want to say howdy, maybe you get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out of the gate tonight is our good friend, the Madman. Yes, the Madman is one of our chat moderators, and I'm sure he is celebrating a statement game from the Detroit Lions yesterday. Well, notice Cave is also with us, as is Semper Buffo, DB, Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Mike. Oh, Kevin King has also popped on in, as has Kathy Evans. I think I've said hello to everybody. I hope you brought enough for everyone. I didn't know there'd be so many. Yeah, that's a kind of a deep cut for most people. I don't know. I think somebody in chat's going to understand where that's from. Pretty sure Chris Lundgren's also chiming on into chat. So chat is rocking and rolling already. Let's jump on into the news because earlier today, Free League Publishing and Skybound Entertainment launched a crowdfunding project for the Invincible superhero role-playing game. Here's the skinny. Invincible superhero role-playing is a, well, you guessed it, superhero tabletop role-playing game based on the groundbreaking comic book Invincible by Robert Kirkman, Cory Walker, and Ryan Ottley, currently adapted as an animated series on Prime Video. In this action-packed storytelling experience, you and your friends take on the role of superheroes in your own corner of the Invincible universe. Whether you choose to play an established character from the comic or create your own, this game is the story of what happens to your superheroes, the protagonists of your own saga. You might be a wise-cracking speedster, a super genius inventor, a grizzled vigilante, a shape-shifting alien, or a high-flying symbol of hope. Whatever you play and wherever you go, you'll have to juggle relationships with patrols, face tough challenges and choices, and learn how to use your powers and learn more about yourself in the process. Who knows? You might be invincible. The Kickstarter project funded within its first few minutes. There are a wide variety of pledge levels out there. You can reserve a copy of the starter set, as well as the core rulebook, GM screen, and 2 sets of custom dice for a special bundle price of $107. Expected fulfillment is July of next year, but backers will receive beta copies of the PDF rules soon after the Kickstarter ends. Also, if you're curious about this, there is a free 48-page quick start PDF if you want to give it a peek. I do have a news item over on thegaminggang.com for the launch of this Kickstarter. I do have a link to that free quick start in the post as well. Very nice. Sarah D is with us tonight. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is also one of our chat moderators. And yes, the Madman says they are enjoying a great win last night. Yeah, I enjoyed the Bears win. I did not see that coming. I thought it'd be a shootout. And I thought the Bears would probably come in on the losing side of it by about 3 points. But no, that was not the case. Very nice. Very nice. Kevin King says it's going to be interesting to see what Free League can do with the superhero genre. Kevin R. Smith's wondering if this is going to use the Year Zero engine or a custom system. I do not know. I actually have not had an opportunity to take a peek at the quick start. I'm going to guess it is going to use the Year Zero engine. Just a stab in the dark. GameCat is joining us in chat. Welcome back. Moving right along. Following a very successful crowdfunding run, Kobold Press is now taking pre-orders for the Riverbank role-playing game. And here's the scoop. It is a truth universally acknowledged that somewhere between the first dainty sip of tea and the final venomously hurled piece of cake and Alice's bridge game had taken a regrettable turn. In the Riverbank role-playing game, you and a few reputable or otherwise animal friends reside in an idyllic English countryside setting created by award-winning writer Keith Johnson. Weave a cozy narrative of social adventures, escalating situations, and impending disaster with more than a few unexpected twists. Celebrate festivals, attend Miss Badger's literary salons for the hors d'oeuvres, if nothing else, and nurture, occasionally sabotage, relationships with one another and a charming cast of non-player characters. Welcome to the Riverbank. Your story is about to begin. This hardcover is going to carry an MSRP of $49.99. You'll be able to grab the PDF for $29.99. I do not have an exact date when this is going to arrive. I will guess month and a half. Kobold Press doesn't start taking pre-orders for items way out. It's not like, oh, hey, we're going to take pre-orders. This is going to be out in 6 months. No, it's usually about a month and a half. So that would be my guess. This is not available in PDF over at DriveThruRPG as of yet, though. Kind of cool. I kind of get the impression this is kind of like a mashup of Wind in the Willows and what is it? Wooster and Jeeves? I don't know. It's just the vibe that I sort of get. Yeah, well, we'll see. I won't be surprised if Kobold Press sends along a review copy for me to share with you. Moving right along. Now, normally I don't double dip with a news piece from the company that I'm sharing a first look at a product from, but I have to share this because Cubicle 7 Games has teamed with Humble Bundle for a spectacular Warhammer bundle. I've got the deets on the deal. Bring glory to the Imperium. Gather up your party for endless adventure with the latest tabletop role-playing game collection, Warhammer RPG Starter Bundle by Cubicle 7. No two conquests for the Imperium of Man are the same, with endless fun ahead. This expansive tabletop role-playing game Explorer's Kit contains rulebooks, source books, and campaign resources based in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, like Warhammer Age of Sigmar Soulbound, which is not in the Warhammer 40k universe. Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory, well, that one is. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, once again, not Warhammer 40k. And more. Get everything you need to embark on an epic journey together and help support Children's Health Foundation of Ireland with your purchase. The ebooks in this bundle, that would make them PDFs, are going to be available through DriveThruRPG. That's why I know they'll be PDFs. These savings will run through October 11th, and regardless of just how poorly this is put together by obviously someone who has not a clue of these role-playing game books. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is part of Warhammer 40k? No. Womp, womp, womp. Has all of the core books. It's got the starter set. I want to say it's got the starter set for Warhammer Fantasy. It's also got Age of Sigmar Soulbound. And I think it's the Imperium Maledictum starter set. So there are 29. No, wait, I take that back. 28 PDFs. And you can jump aboard for as little as $5. If you want to get all of the PDFs, plus I believe it's a 25% off coupon, it is a minimum donation of $25. Yowza. I mean, it is like, holy cow. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. So if you've ever been kind of curious about some of the Warhammer role-playing games from Cubicle 7, this is your opportunity to not just dip your toes in, because there's adventures, there's supplements, there's a lot of content as part of this. How can you go wrong? $25. Kevin King says, judging from the quick start, Invincible uses a D6 dice pool, allows pushing the rolls, has stunts, etc., just like the Alien RPG. Assuming the early quick start represents the game, then it probably is the Year Zero engine. I figured it probably would be. think Free League Publishing is trying to, outside of, like their Mickberg books and things like that, like the Black Powder and what is it? We're going to be taking a look at that soon, probably next week. Black Powder and Brimstone. Outside of those games that they publish for other creators, I think they really do want to stick with offshoots of the Year Zero engine. We'll find out. Dean is with us, says they pre-ordered the collector's edition of Invincible. I got to say, I read the comic back in the day. I even got past the big, shocking revelation. I got to say, I think I read 6 or 7 collections, like graphic novels that I think collected like 6 issues each. I liked it. It had a real early Spider-Man vibe to it. It was very cool. I liked it quite a bit. Moving right along to our next news piece. The Complete Crusader Volume 2 is now available in print and PDF. And I've got the lowdown from my friends over at Troll Lord Games. The Crusader, Journal of Intrepid Adventure, is a magazine designed by the folks at Troll Lord Games. Its foundations lie in the early Seeker zine and earlier issues of the Crusader, which combined gaming philosophy with humor, tips, and pointers for the community as a whole. These journals, published periodically by Troll Lord Games, chronicle the growth, the history, the ins and outs of role-playing games like no other can. Articles from the game masters of yore to the new designers of the games we love. There's going to be something for everyone in these journals. The Crusader is a journal dedicated to games and the gamers who play them. Within its pages lie a plethora of articles that touch upon many of our common interests, though each issue sports at least one crunchy bit of rules for Castles and Crusades, and or Gary Gygax's legendary adventure. The magazine's focus is much more broad. The journal offers articles that range from the common and simple how-to to advice, fiction, poetry, humor, art, and more. This 200-plus page hardcover carries an MSRP of $29.99. You can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. This collects the Crusader issues 6 through 10. And I do believe at this point in time, there were still some articles written by Gary Gygax in this. I do believe, Sean O'Donnell says, Free League wants to have one system to rule them all. Or roll them all. One of the two. So sweet. I don't know if we're going to have an opportunity to take a peek at the Crusader. Well, I should say the Complete Crusader. I talked about Volume 1 last week. This is Volume 2. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. On to our final news piece. We had a little bit of a comic book theme tonight because the most current expansion for the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game is out in PDF over at DriveThruRPG. And it's time for the Avengers to assemble. Yes. Earth's mightiest heroes finally get the big book treatment that role-playing game fans have been waiting for. The Marvel Multiverse role-playing game Avengers Expansion is the next major tabletop expansion for, you guessed it, the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, featuring all new playable locations, characters, and legendary equipment to create an adventure unlike any other. Written by award-winning author Matt Forbeck, the Avengers expansion features many of Marvel's most popular superheroes, like Black Widow, Captain America, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, plus countless other Avengers and their most villainous foes. Players will find everything they need to craft iconic weapons like Captain America's shield, or Thor's hammer. Build legendary headquarters like the Avengers Tower. Delve into high-tech characters and armors and handle epic large-scale battles between heroes and their foes. The full-size Avengers expansion will feature an explosive new cover by artists Paco Medina and Jesus Elperdov, paired with the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game core rulebook. Anyone from seasoned tabletop players to first-timers can jump headfirst into the Marvel Universe. This 256-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. Very nice. I have always been a big fan of the Avengers. When I was a kid, that was usually the comic book I would pick up when I had an extra quarter or 30, 35 cents in my pocket. That and Captain America. I remember I had issues of Captain America from our bicentennial. That's when Jack Kirby was doing the art. And I got to be honest, towards the end, like last, I don't know, 10, 15 years of Kirby's career, I didn't really care for his art much. Everything had to have like a metallic look to it. And Kevin King's rocking on out. Good to see you, Kevin. We'll catch you next time. All right. So that is it for the news tonight. I do want to mention on tomorrow's show, we will dive on in and take a first look at the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game from Marvel. Had a friend of the show actually reach out, ask me if I was interested in reviewing this. I said, yeah, of course. I mentioned it last week when I was sharing some of the news that the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game was now in PDF over on DriveThruRPG. And they said, I'll tell you what, find out how much it is on Amazon. I'll send you the funds. So big thank you to them. I don't believe they want me to say who it is, because this person has done these things in the past. And if memory serves, I think they just want to kind of stay in the background. So that is what we're going to be taking a peek at on tomorrow's show. Cool. And yes, I am keeping my fingers crossed that they clean things up from that playtest they had sent out. It was awful. And Vaunus is with us. Yes, the legendary T.S. Lukehart, my pal from Cubicle 7 Games, is joining us. Yes, he can smell that Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum miles away. It's like, ooh, I'm showing up. I'm showing up for that. He's just here so he can make fun of me when I mispronounce stuff. That's all it is. That's what it is. So Roger Prudhomme is also joining us in chat. Good to see you, Roger. Thanks for joining us again. Says, yes, it's a musky odor. All right, so that is the news for tonight. Of course, I did mention DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always support the outlet in a couple of other ways. One, by making a one-time donation through PayPal, or by becoming a monthly member of our Patreon. And I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. At the $5 tier, we've got Gustavo Covalho, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Telzek. At the $10 tier, we've got Dan Webb, Game Cat, Pete Strakolich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM. And at the $25 tier, we've got Agile Monk, Matt W, and the Madman. Thank you very much, everybody. It is vastly appreciated. So we are going to get on into the Warhammer 40k Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide in just a few moments. I did want to mention, if you're watching last week, I talked about how I had to go have an ultrasound on my thyroid because I guess my thyroid's underperforming. I've known that for a few years now. And I take levothyroxine for it. And I got the results back. And it was a little worrisome because it had the results. Now, remember, this is just the results came back. No doctor or nurse or anything contacted me to let me know. But I did get, an email saying, oh, you've got test results. And I was like, So as I mentioned, I said, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the next step is go have a biopsy. Then I didn't hear anything from this doctor, who I waited 10 months to actually see. I had to schedule an appointment 10 months prior just to get in there. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if they're not getting right back to me, I guess it's probably not anything super major. And then I thought, well, they are really busy. It took 10 months to actually get in to see this doctor. Well, today I didn't even get a phone call. I just got a message in the, if you have a doctor, if you regularly visit a doctor or doctors, most places have a website you can log in and whatever. You got your, whatever sort of prescriptions and such in there. So anyway, so I get a message and I'm reading it and it's essentially, yeah, everything looks okay. It's like, yeah, you've got, is it Hashimoto's? I think that's what it is. Hashimoto's disease, which is an underactive thyroid. There you go. Sean O'Donnell's talking about my chart. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So I've got that, which I already knew about. I just didn't have a name for it, right? I thought it was hypothyroidism. So, and then I do have a nodule or something on my thyroid gland. It's 5 millimeters. And the doctor said, well, not that big a deal. He said, we'll just do another ultrasound in a year. Okay. All right, thanks. So there you go, folks. The results are in and they have been, there we go. Hashimoto. Yes, Hashimoto's disease. So do I start playing Turning Japanese? No, I don't think that would be in good taste. Would it? All right. I don't think it's that offensive. So there you have it. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. It's I got enough shit going on with other things, having had a bypass and the results of, going and having an ultrasound on the old ticker again. And I'm like, come on, man, let's not pile on. Chardell says, yay, Jeff's not dying. Well, I am. I am. It's just not as quickly as maybe it was looking like last week. Just thought it was so weird. But they do that all the time. They'll like share the results, and then you go and you look and you're like, half the time is like, I don't even understand what the hell that is. So you go and you cut and paste it into Google, and then it comes back and you're like, ooh, okay, that does not look good. And then you talk to the doctor and they're like, yeah, it's about the same as usual. Like, okay. Yeah, so TS says, we're all dying. It's just a matter of speed. That is true. That is true. All right, so as I mentioned, tonight we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a first look at Warhammer 40k Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide. Yes, as TS said, say that 5 times fast. We're going to do that in a few minutes. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
We've brought back those good old-time flavors, and today they're better than ever. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
If anybody asks you, I'm a natural man. If anybody asks you, I'm a natural man. Well,
when you hit a dry spell, what's the natural way to wet it down?
Honey, how about a beer?
With a tall, cold Duke. Duke's great natural flavor comes from aging slow and easy, the way beer's supposed to be aged. Come on, get back to the natural flavor of Duke.
And I take my pleasure, natural as I can. Well, there ain't no place.
And I had to pick a natural man.
Duke is the natural beer for the natural man.
One truckload Wilkins regular coffee? Check.
What was that?
Wilkins instant coffee? Check.
From Gilbert Autorama comes the excitement and competition of the famous Indianapolis Speedway, featuring the exclusive new Gilbert Flyover Chicane. Watch the stock cars in slow motion. Up and go. Gilbert makes cars rugged enough to take this kind of punishment. And look at the great assortment of Gilbert cars to choose from. The roughest, toughest, most realistic cars on the road. Past the timer, through the lap counter. Now with stock cars up to the Gilbert Flyover Chicane. Only this time, in midair, the cars change lanes. And look, just like that, your Gilbert car track can become a horse race track with these exclusive lively trotters. Get all these Indianapolis Speedway extras separately, and be sure to get your complete Gilbert Autorama layout. Look at Gilbert toys first. They last.
Where'd you get your guinea pig?
Happens to be the best damn candidate out of 600 volunteers.
A secret experiment gave one man the strength of 100.
For the rest of the world, he's just codenamed Captain America.
And the power to save millions.
The Jerrys have an experimental rocket ready to fire at a target somewhere in the United States.
Only he could defeat a superhuman madman.
They got a fella called the Red Skull heading up their outfit.
But saving the world left him trapped in an icy grave until fate released him to finish a battle started decades ago. Ronnie Cox, Kim Gillingham, Scott Paulin as the Red Skull, and Matt Salinger as the Marvel Comics hero, Captain America.
Yeah, I know. Watching that trailer for Captain America, you thought, yeah, this doesn't look that bad. Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, it is. If I remember right, I think that went straight to video. I don't even think it got a theatrical release, and it was awful. Tell you right now, and Ronnie Cox was a decent enough character actor, but you know you're in trouble when he's getting top billing. You're like, yes, somebody asked, is this the TV movie? No, as Kevin R. Smith points out, that was in the 70s, and the Captain America's shield didn't even have white. It was transparent, so you could tell it was made out of plastic. It was awful. Yeah, the 1990 Captain America looks like Citizen Kane compared to the TV movie. Ugh, awful. Awful. All right. Like I said, there's a little bit of a superhero theme going on, which will now come to an end because we are going to be diving in and taking a first look at Warhammer 40k Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. This 128-page supplement will carry an MSRP of $39.99. That will also get you a free PDF if you order from Cubicle 7 Games. You can get the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG if you just want to get a PDF for $19.99. And it's a good thing we got TS hanging out with us because I have conflicting information on when this is going to arrive. I have seen one distributor say it comes out this week. I have seen another distributor say it hits stores on October 15th. I don't know which one is correct. Regardless, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Inquisition Player's Guide. Couple of things to mention before we jump on in. First of all, my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of contribution or anything like that for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. And we're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel what you're going to find inside. Christopher Rush is with us, says they love this game. Tessie Trekkie said pre-orders like they had already have it. Valis says it's the requisition guide that's October 15th. All right, cool. So now I know, which I will be sharing a standalone first look video for the Macarian requisition guide. All right. So first thing we're going to do, take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Let's give credit where credit is due. A lot of folks here. You know what? We'll look at the back. Why not? Join the Holy Ordos of the God Emperor's Inquisition. So is that a misprint or once again, I'm not, super up on all things Warhammer 40K. So is that supposed to say join the Holy Orders? Just asking. The Macarian sector is in peril on all sides and from within. Heretics, demons, and Xenos threaten to destroy what the Emperor and his servant, Lord Solar Macarius, have built as the Imperium's forces take to the battlefield. It falls to the Holy Ordos, I guess it is Ordos, of the Inquisition to wage their own secretive war. Wielding ultimate authority, Inquisitors and their acolytes face corruption and damnation at every turn. They must be exacting and merciless in their vigil to survive and preserve the soul of the Imperium. Though the doom they seek to avert is inevitable, it may yet be delayed, and only the Inquisition can hope to stave off the darkness that threatens to consume the entire galaxy. I do believe you must have the core rulebook in order to use the player's guide and the GM's guide. So these are not two separate rule books. These are faction books, I believe is what Cubicle 7 Games consider these. So yeah, so it is Holy Ordos. So we have the Holy Orders to start off with. You guys you're just trying to confuse me. Patrons of the Inquisition, acolytes of the Inquisition, skills, talents, and psychic powers, the Inquisition Armory, familiars. Oh, sweet. Nice. We have a new mechanic, subtlety, and I believe it's for more like investigative adventures and things like that. It's like we got some downtime between missions and then some appendices. And TS says, yes, correct. It's what they're considering faction books. Spelling Mistake is with us. Good to see you once again. All right. So we've got the Inquisitor. I believe, and once again, I am going to review this, but this is, of course, the first time I've taken a peek inside this. I believe the player characters, if they're going to be starting player characters, I think they're acolytes, and I think their patron is an Inquisitor. Perception and propaganda. In life, citizens of the Imperium are taught to fear and hate the Xenos, the mutant, and the heretic. Yes, hate the other. This education is proffered primarily by the Ministorum and seconded by every facet of the Adeptus Terra. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. I like that. That's pretty funny. Okay. So we are getting some quotations from various folks. Okay, so here we got the acolyte. Where Inquisitors are the iron will that refuses to bow to the enemies of mankind, and the cunning mind, I've got a cunning mind, me lord, whose plans thwart foul heretical schemes. Their acolytes make up the rest of the Inquisition's might. They are the sinew and muscle that execute the plan, the nervous system that ensures all limbs act in concert, and the mouth that gathers support or suppresses dissent. They are often specialized, unassuming, somewhat deniable, and largely expendable. Yes, very nice. So we have duty, authority, advancement. Now, remember, I am skipping pages here. We're not taking a look at each and every page. Know thy enemy. The average citizen of the Imperium, toiling loyally in service to the Emperor's will, knows well enough that heretics hide amongst them. Does the Adeptus Ministorum not preach against them and warn all of the heretics' wiles and vices? Most have also heard of the mighty battles waged against the Imperium's foes, foul Xenos and treacherous souls, who blindly oppose his will. Each of these is a terrible threat, and yet, bereft of both faith and the Emperor's grace, little more than fodder for the Imperium's vigilant protectors. So as you can see, this is a cozy game. This is kind of a cozy role-playing game. Everybody's playing anthropomorphic animals in a English countryside. Oh, wait, no, that's Riverbank. I was sharing news about it earlier. I got them mixed up. So here we've got our holy orders. Discussing desperate measures and escalation. All right, so now we're going to get into some of the patrons. So one of the cool aspects, something that's pretty unique as far as role-playing games go, in Imperium Maledictum, we have this system of patrons. So the game master and the players together create a patron, and the patron will have boons and banes associated with them. And it's really interesting how you tie the player characters into their patron. So here we're getting our patrons for different factions. For the Ordo Xenos, your patron belongs to the Inquisition's alien hunters, the Ordo Xenos. Their mandate is to further the mono-domination of humanity across the galaxy and protect the Imperium's borders from alien threats. They investigate and catalog Xenos species, seeking to discover their weaknesses and if they can be taken advantage of for the Imperium's gain. Oh, sort of like the ogres, or ogren. Yes, and the dwarves. Patron philosophies. We have liabilities. Those are kind of the banes I had mentioned. So yes, it is a cozy 40K session. Christopher Rush says now they want to run a cozy 40K session. Ay. Spelling mistakes. That they backed Riverbank. They're excited for their tea to come in. Yeah, it looks fun. I shared some news about it right off the bat in the news portion. I'm not sure if I think spelling mistake came in after the news wrapped up. The Banes are a surprise, as TS points out. Yeah, the acolytes of the Inquisition. So here's our information about how to create our acolytes. As acolytes of the Inquisition, there are many paths your character may walk in service to their patron. This chapter outlines the essential elements of character creation from Imperium Maledictum, alongside new options for building characters who form part of the Inquisition's guiding hand within the Macarian sector. While not all aspects of core character creation are discussed here in detail, the following pages provide the overview you need to create your own acolyte of the Inquisition without referencing the core book directly. So you have their characteristics: weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, agility, intelligence, perception, willpower, and fellowship. So if you're familiar with, say, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, same premise with the characteristics. Got your origin, your faction, your role, your equipment, add detail, bring your character to life. And you're going to finish up with calculating some of the derived stats. Cool. So we've got our origins, like damned useful, hexorcist, penitent, vengeful relic. Captured and held by any of the vicious enemies of the Imperium, you experienced unimaginable fear with no hope of escape. You managed to stay strong where others buckled, submitting to indoctrination or death. Eventually, a moment offered itself to your quick-thinking liberation, or you were retrieved unceremoniously as unintended collateral in an Inquisition mission. Your body still bears the ravages your captivity wrought. And then we have our factions. Yep. Adeptus Administratum, or Stratum. Adeptus Mechanicus. And these are the orders, right? I've had people ask, as far as the Inquisition faction books, they're curious, how does this stack up to Dark Heresy? The venerable Fantasy Flight Games Warhammer 40k role-playing game, back when they pretty much had the license for Warhammer. And I know they had their own separate games depending on what you were looking at, like a Rogue Trader. So they had Rogue Trader. I know they had Dark Heresy, which I think tackled some of kind of the same aspects of adventures. So here we have new talents, new psychic powers, new skills, subtle mutation. Something lies in your genetics that isn't quite human, twisting you physically or mentally farther away from the average Imperial citizen. Your patron may know about your mutation, letting it slide, or be oblivious to it. On face value, you can pass unremarked. But if anyone knew the truth, they likely treat you as another abomination. TS says you had to work for the Inquisition in Dark Heresy. Aha. So yes, TS was one of the designers on Dark Heresy. So this is the spiritual successor. So you got some biomancy, divination. So biomancy, we've got induce panic. Divination, discern falsehoods. Telepathy, we've got hallucinate, pacify. If you're curious about the production quality, very solid paper stock. I had pointed this out before, and I think this is when Cubicle 7 Games switched printers, that since that took place, the paper stock is a bit thicker, which I always appreciate. Nice, thick paper stock. It does have a stitched binding, so that should hold up very nicely. I guess we're going to get into some gear now, right? Yep. Power weapons, null weapons, ranged weapons. You've got the Psi Cannon. Large bolt weapons utilized by the Ordo Malleus. Psi Cannons fire massive bolts imbued with negative psychic energy. Their true silver tip inscribed with words and anti-demonic sigils. Nice. All right, so we got our stat blocks here. How can this be? Hallucinogen and psychotrope grenades are an excellent way for the GM to engage with characters, tailoring their induced visions to elements of their backstory. Lost friend bearing a timely warning, latent fear made manifest, or a forgotten encounter that might suddenly prove relevant. A canny GM can evoke these elements and provide suitable disruption to the character's current actions. GM should feel free to ignore the hallucinogenic effects table if such a tailored vision would be more appropriate and engaging. Once again, talking about production quality, artwork throughout, very, very solid. So we're still in the armory there. Now we're going to get into familiars. To serve the Inquisition is to know isolation on a grand scale. True knowledge of the Imperium's foes would drive most of its citizenry to despair or madness, and many Inquisitors and their acolytes come to view most of humanity as weak, corrupt, or hopelessly naive. It is little wonder, then, that some look beyond their fellow humans for assistance. Though varied in origin and ability, all such non-human servants can be referred to as familiars. Familiars often possess skills entirely alien to even the best trained human acolytes. The Adeptus Mechanicus has little understanding of Xeno's technology, but the Jacaro, have astounding technical skills and are willing to work with almost any mechanical artifact. Cyber familiars offer an extension of a psyker's will and senses while avoiding the dangers of confronting another human soul with their powers. And few can match the speed and ferocity of a cyber canid. Sweet. So we have some new rules as far as familiars go. Got familiars in combat and outside of combat. How to acquire one. Training. A bestiary of familiars. The Gyrinx is a cat-like species resembling a cross between a lynx and a caracal. About 1.2 meters long when grown, they are prized pets, not for their physique, but for their astonishing behavior. They bond strongly with their master, mirroring their moods and even mannerisms. It's kind of cool. They make for excellent cyber familiars. Now we get into subtlety. And as I mentioned, the subtlety rules are new for Imperium Maledictum, and I guess they're supposed to be utilized in investigative adventures. Christopher Rush says, now we got pets? This is cozy. The shadow war waged by the Inquisition often relies on subterfuge and secrecy. They are the unseen blade that strikes from the dark, piercing the God Emperor's foes in the weakest points of their blasphemous flesh, using surprise and guile to circumvent their vile armor. The Holy Orders abhor the odious enemies, but many Inquisitors begrudgingly treat their grotesque foes with a measure of regard for their dangerous capabilities. A wise Inquisitor knows the impossible odds they face and will use any underhanded espionage they can to fell the unholy. So we have subtlety ratings and levels. So we have covert, suspicious, overt, and exposed. Examples for changing those levels. A discussion of each of the levels. And then we get into some downtime. Yep, between missions. This chapter expands on the material found in Chapter 8 of Imperium Maledictum, covering how this unceasing vigil impacts what passes for downtime among the agents of the Inquisition. There are new random events that can impact downtime periods and subsequent missions, new endeavors for both the whole group and for individual acolytes, and a new system for long-term endeavors that can influence events over an extended campaign, lasting for in-game years between narrative time jumps, going hand in hand with the heresies Macaria outlined in Chapter 5 of the Inquisition GM's Guide. So we have Inquisition events. So we got some event tables, group endeavors. So search for Xeno's infiltration, punish dissent, pool knowledge. Long-term endeavors, craft an anointed weapon, infiltrate a cult, learn a true name. And we're going to wrap up. We've got our index. We've got some new character sheets. There we go. Very nice. Sweet. So that is a peek inside Warhammer 40k Roleplay Imperium Maledictum Inquisition Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. It is arriving in stores this week. Carries an MSRP of $39.99. Of course, if you order from Cubicle7Games.com, you will get the PDF absolutely free. You'll get it pretty immediately as well. Now, if you just want to grab the PDF, you can do so. It is over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Of course, I will have a review in the not too distant future. So I was going to ask, since TS is with us, if TS knows when we can expect to see the old world in print. Because I am very, very intrigued by the old world. And yes, I know I could ask you guys for the PDFs and that, but I like to really provide a first look, right? So it's a first look for me, as well as most of the time the people hanging out in chat. So TS says April. Wow. Yeah, oh well. I guess I'll just have to wait until next April. All righty. So we already know on tomorrow's show, I'm going to dive on in, take a peek at the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game from Marvel, thanks to a friend of the show. So we're going to be taking a peek at this. Then on Thursday, we're going to dive on into Neon Rain. This is for the Cypher system from Monty Cook Games. I will have my Cypher system core rulebook review this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Next week, we are going to take a peek at the World of Battlezoo Indigo Isles from Roll for Combat. You might recall I reviewed the adventure that takes place in this setting. So I actually got the setting book from our friend Steven over at Roll for Combat. We'll also take a look at the Inquisition GM's Guide next week. And I think we might take a peek at CBR plus PNK, which I was always referring to it as Cyber plus Punk, but it is CBR plus PNK from MythWorks. So stay tuned for that. All right. That's it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company, we're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or flipping on through a role-playing game book or unboxing a board game. So that is much appreciated. But of course, I know most people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. It really does mean a lot. And we just passed 16,300 subscribers. That's pretty cool too. We'll get to 20,000 at some point. Thereabouts. We'll see how long it takes. Probably another year or so. I would think. Maybe a little more than that. Anyway, everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I share other videos, such as my review of The Last Caravan from MythWorks. Check out what I got to say about this. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.